Many thanks for joining us on the News Hour. My name is Abdullahi Ahmed. We start in Abuja as the last lap of litigations in the gubernatorial elections from the 2023 elections saw the Supreme Court deliver judgments across 8 states, including Kano, Zamfara and Plateau states, which have captured the imagination of the country. In this report, Trust TV's Sagir Ibrahim provides a roundup of the activities around the Supreme Court after the verdicts.
It is celebration, excitement and a lot of joy as the governor of Plateau State, Governor Caleb Mutfwang, has been announced as the winner and has been returned elected as the governor of Plateau State. So much excitement, so much celebration. Let's get the reaction of some of them.
Well, to God be the glory. Yes. Truly, God is on the throne.
Yes.
Today, we are so happy.
Yes.
Today, Plateau is so happy.
Yes.
The ordinary woman on the street of Plateau today is dancing.
Yes.
Today, the Supreme Court has shown today truly that Nigeria still have a court to run to.
Hallelujah.
We are so happy. We are so excited that Plateau is going to move forward.
Yes.
That finally, Caleb Mutfwang, the Caleb in the Bible, is going to move Plateau to the promised land.
The Supreme Court also overturned the removal of Abba Yusuf as governor of Kano State. Justice John Okoro, reading the lead judgment, stated that the Court of Appeal was wrong in affirming the tribunal's decision that Yusuf did not secure the majority of lawful votes in the gubernatorial election. The Apex Court considered 2 issues: whether the lower court was right in deducting the governor's 165,616 votes, which Justice Okoro held that the tribunal was mistaken in subtracting the votes credited to the governor.
Our respected Supreme Court justices have delivered their judgment and affirmed my election as the duly elected governor of Kano State. Today, alhamdulillah, not only me, not only my family, but all the good people of Kano State, as well as all members of my party, the NNPP.
This judgment restored the hope of the common man toward the judiciary. We have been saying since right from the tribunal that this case is lacking in merit, is devoid of any merit. It ought to be dismissed, but the tribunal as well as the Court of Appeal in their own wisdom see it different. But today the Supreme Court reaffirmed the position of the law that you cannot come and challenge the membership of another political party.
In the case of Lagos, the Supreme Court dismissed the appeal of Gbadebo Road's viva of the Labour Party against the election of Babajide Sanwo-Olu of the All Progressives Congress. The Apex Court affirmed the judgment of the Court of Appeal Lagos, dismissing the appeal for lacking in merit. In a unanimous decision, the panel of justices described the petition as a gross abuse of court process. Also, the Supreme Court, in a unanimous decision by a 5-member panel of justices, overturned the judgment of the Court of Appeal in Abuja, which initially declared Governor Dauda Lawal's election inconclusive. The lead judgment, delivered by Justice Emmanuel Agim, deemed the appellate court's decision as perverse and consequently annulled the order for a rerun.
It's actually what I was expecting, so I believe the judiciary are doing very well, and Zamfara people are happy and we're grateful. We will now go back, settle down and do the needful in terms of governance.
Similarly, the Apex Court upheld Bala Muhammad's election as Bauchi State Governor, dismissing Sadiq Abubakar's appeal from the All Progressives Congress. In the recent ruling, the Apex Court dismissed the appeal for lacking in merit, as well as the appellant's plea regarding improperly filed election forms and booklets, stating that it was not substantiated with evidence. On Friday, the Supreme Court upheld the victory of Francis Onwifru as the governor of Ebonyi State. A panel of 5 judges, with Tijani Abubakar delivering the decision, concluded that the PDP and its governorship candidate Ifeanyi Odi failed to substantiate their claims of non-compliance with the Electoral Act during the March 18, 2023 election in Ebonyi State. In another development, the Supreme Court affirmed the election of Governor Basi Otu of Cross River State. In a judgment, the court dismissed the appeal filed by Professor Sandy Ono and his party, the People's Democratic Party, with which they sought to sack Governor Otu of the APC. Justice Helen Ogunwumiju, in the lead judgment, held that the appellants failed to prove their case, adding that the appeal is without merit and a waste of judicial time and resources. Finally, the Supreme Court unanimously upheld Mr. Alex Oti of the Labour Party as the legitimate victor of the gubernatorial election conducted in Abia State on March 18. Justice Uwani Abaji, in the lead judgment, stated that the appeals brought by the candidates of the People's Democratic Party, Chief Oke Ahiwe, and the All Progressives Congress, APC, Chief Ikechie Menike, lacked merit.
Kano State, Plateau State, Ebonyi State, Zamfara State, among others, including Lagos State, judgment has been delivered upon, and so far it has gone in the direction of the incumbent governors from the 8 states brought before the Apex Court.
Sagir Ibrahim, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Well, staying with the Supreme Court verdicts, the jubilation in Kano has taken over the streets as supporters of the governor, Abba Kabir Yusuf, turn out en masse to celebrate his victory at the Apex Court. Trust TV's Idris Jibrin reports that the celebrations are signposting the popularity of the Kano State governor.
These are hundreds of supporters from the New Nigeria People's Party in Kano storming the official residence of Senator Rabiu Kwankwaso in celebration of their victory at the Supreme Court, which declared Abba Kabir as the duly elected governor of the state. Dressed in their usual colors of white and red caps, these supporters are happy that their governor has won the final battle. They say it is now evident that the Nigeria's judicial system is indeed working. Trust me, I cannot tell you how happy I am today. We are indeed very happy. By seeing all these people around, you know that something big has happened in Kano. God has made it for us, and Konkosia is working. And I can tell you our governor is working. We are very, very happy today. Honestly, I have been sick since yesterday. And even this morning, my wife was asking me to go out. I refused to go out. I told her I am not going anywhere. Until around 12, when I asked my wife to give me my radio. On listening to the radio, I heard that our governor has been declared as the winner at this Supreme Court. I quickly came out and rushed to this house. I am telling you, we are very, very happy. And I have never expected that this will happen to us today. Back on the streets of Kano metropolis, hundreds of men, women and children turned out to celebrate the victory, despite the presence of armed security personnel who have been deployed to prevent breakdown of law and order. According to these supporters, Governor Abba Kabir has already laid a solid foundation for the development of Kano State. Hence, they hope that the governor will use the victory to come up with various development projects for the development of Kano people. You can see that God has made it for us. We have been saying it, that we have won this election, and the Supreme Court has made it happen today. Now, this shows that the judicial system is indeed working. And we believe that Governor Abba Kabir Yusuf will continue to do the good work he has already started for the good people of Kano State. You are seeing the good work he is doing, and this work will continue for the overall development of the people of Kano State. At the moment, the people of Kano are anxiously awaiting the return of their governor, who was in Abuja for the announcement of the judgment. However, security operatives have since been deployed to ensure adequate protection of lives and property as the celebration continues across the state. Idris Jibrin, Trust TV News, Kano.
And in Bauchi, a wave of reaction swept through the streets following the Supreme Court's verdict on Friday upholding the election of Senator Bala Muhammad as duly elected governor of the state. The lead judgment delivered by Justice Ibrahim Saulawa affirmed the earlier decision of the Court of Appeal in Abuja, validating the re-election of Governor Bala Mohammed for a second term in office. Here's Adamu Imam with the reactions.
In the aftermath of the Apex Court's decision, stalwarts from both the People's Democratic Party, represented by Musa Azari, and the opposition All Progressives Congress, represented by Uzaifa Yari, share their perspectives on the development.
Well, I want to congratulate the people of Bauchi State because this victory is not for His Excellency Senator Bala Mohammed, it's for the good people of Bauchi State who have been reaping the good benefits of his leadership right from 2019 to date. We have seen development in healthcare, in education, in agriculture, and in social development of the people. So the congratulations is to them. They are the winners of this Supreme Court verdict.
We have accepted the decision of the Apex Court, but I am not happy, but I'm still expecting the best. And I'm praying for the best for my states, for myself, and for my candidates. And we are hoping that the incumbent governor will try to maybe learn from what we said during the campaigns and maybe correct some of the mistakes that is having some kind of negative impact on the lives of the Bauchi people.
On the other hand, some residents of the state had already begun expressing their opinions even before the official announcement of the Apex Court's judgment.
Well, and it was quite too unfortunate for the kind of things we've seen, exactly from the opposition, the way they look at things, that is kind of more or less like a game, that everybody will not accept defeat under any circumstances, that he will just go ahead to go for a court.
The choice of God is the choosing one, not us. But my hope was that Allah has already chosen us the best.
But my hope is APC win. But if whatever Almighty Allah do is all is okay.
Prior to the announcement, security agencies, including the police, had issued a statement assuring their readiness to protect lives and property during and after the judgment. After the verdict was delivered, the atmosphere in the state remained calm, with citizens going about their daily routines. At the party secretariats, the PDP Women's Wing displayed their excitement, while the APC camp maintained a calm and somber demeanor. Adam Imam, Trust TV News, Bauchi.
Well, elsewhere, residents and party supporters in Jos, the Plateau State capital, are reacting to the Supreme Court's verdict affirming the election of Governor Caleb Mutfwang as the governor of Plateau State after reversing his sack by the Court of Appeal. Now, the appeal court had earlier nullified the election of Governor Mutfwang on the ground that the governor was not validly nominated by his party following the party's refusal to conduct congresses in the state. Adu Musa has more.
Displeased with the decision of the appeal court, Mr. Mutfwang, who won at the State Governorship Election Tribunal, challenged the decision of the appeal court at the Supreme Court. Delivering the lead judgment of the Supreme Court's 5-member panel on Friday, Emmanuel Ajim held that the sponsorship of a candidate for election is an internal affair of a political party, adding that Court of Appeal lacked jurisdiction to determine the validity of the candidacy of the PDP. Party supporters and some residents of Jos speak on the judgment.
First of all, let me give God the glory, because what happened today at the Supreme Court is just a testimony that we still have hope in the judiciary, because the Supreme Court is not being compromised. They have done their job, and it's very clear that our case is a pre-election matter. But some bad eggs went and manipulate. But at the end of the day, the victory is ours. So we give God the glory.
In fact, I am very, very happy with what the Supreme Court did, because now, because the appeal court do not follow the due process in passing out judgment, but the Supreme Court was able to look into the judgment and set it aside because it was a pre-election matter. Our reaction is we are just thanking God for the Supreme Court for giving us our mandate. As they did not follow about money, but they do the right thing. They gave to who won. We appreciate them, and I'm so happy with what our government are doing on the case that they do the case with truth. I want to really thank the government for that, the lawyers for that.
I can say that I'm just happy that everything has been carried out peacefully. What we are praying is to have a leader who is very determined, and somebody who is ready to carry everybody along and to ensure peace and harmony among citizens in the state. So as far as I'm concerned, whatever Supreme Court judgment has passed is okay by me. All we pray is that peace should reign in Plateau State so that meaningful development will be achieved.
It has been a 10-month legal battle between the PDP and the APC. With the Supreme Court pronouncement of the winner, political pundits believe that all the tensions and uncertainty will be laid to rest, while the governor focused on delivering dividends of good governance to the people. Ado Musa, Trust TV News, Jos.
Now, following the affirmation of his election as the Supreme Court, Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu of Lagos State has called on stakeholders to join the train of governance in the state to deliver dividends of democracy to the people of Lagos. The governor was one of several governors who were at the State House in Abuja to see the president after his victory at the Supreme Court. Kehinde Amodu has more.
The Supreme Court has been reeling out verdicts on governorship petitions in the last couple of days. Some governors whose electoral victories were upturned at the level of the appeal court have had their mandates restored, while others who had sailed through are now confirmed as governors. A few of these governors were at the presidential villa on Friday to share their victories with the president. They believe that the affirmation by the Supreme Court is a call to duty.
It's not an APC victory. It's not a Babajide Sanwo-Olu victory. It's a Lagos call in action for all of us to work for the citizens, to improve the lot of Lagosians, and to make meaningful development for our people. At the end of the day, people want, to see good roads. People want to see security everywhere in the state. People want to see hospitals and schools being built. That's what people want, and that's what we preach, and that's what we're going to do.
Victory is sweet, but it places more burdens on when you are output, both the input and the output. That is the expectation, and the expectations being that even the court is reaffirmed, the mandate the people gave me, and I'm quite happy on that. Again, it simply implies that we have to get out there and do some more, let them feel the impact of what they're expecting.
One other governor on the corridors of power on Friday is Governor of Imo State, Hope Uzodinma, who is emphatic that President Tinubu is on the right track with his economic reforms.
The president is on the right track, and major economic policies all over the world are not determined by the masses. Masses enjoy the dividends. So President, going by the trajectory so far, is following, are doing those things that will make Nigeria save more money, make the economy be recovered and be rebuilt, strengthened, so that the masses will now have better standard of living, security will be guaranteed, the welfare of citizens will also be guaranteed, which is the statutory function of government.
The elections of 6 governors were confirmed by the Supreme Court on Friday, which means many of these governors will find their way to the presidential villa in the coming days. From State House, Abuja, Kehinde Amodu, Trust TV News.
Well, let's get some more insight on the developments from the Supreme Court today regarding the verdicts delivered by Nigeria's Apex Court. Join us on News Hour is a legal practitioner, Bode Fadikpe. Thank you most kindly for joining us on the news. I appreciate your patience. First and foremost, I'd like to get your thoughts on what you make of the quality of the verdicts from the Apex Court.
Thank you so much for having me. I think we must always recognize the fact that the Supreme Court of Nigeria is one institution that recognizes the need to always do justice, not judgment. So if you look at if you look at all of the states that have been affected, about 8 or so of them, people were thinking that, or observers were of the view that maybe for one reason or the other, the Supreme Court will run contrary to the expectation of the people, as it were. But what we have seen is that the Supreme Court has done justice, and we cannot but commend them for it. So generally speaking, I think we must commend the Supreme Court for upholding justice, not judgment, as it were. And I think that's a good development.
Well, for some people, this also signposts the quote-unquote unpredictability of the Nigerian judiciary, where, especially in cases of the pronouncements and judgments and verdicts delivered by the appeal courts, as well as the tribunals, were pretty much trashed out today at the Supreme Court. And for some people, that is also signposting the poor quality of some of the judgments we've seen at the appeal court. So let's talk about those consistent inconsistencies. What are your thoughts about how Governor Mufwang of Plateau State survived this last lap, when members of the National Assembly from his state, who were, whose victories were reversed for the same situation that he survived at the Supreme Court? How do you explain that to ordinary Nigerians who are scratching their heads about that?
I think we must understand the hierarchy of courts, and the reason for the hierarchy of courts. If you start, for instance, let's limit ourselves to the election petition. I think usually at the tribunal level for governorship, you always have about three member panel constituting the tribunal, and usually the majority is either the 3 of them or 2-1, one of them writing a minority report. Now, anyone who is displeased with the judgment at the tribunal level is allowed to move to the a court of appeal, which is a court of second instance. And then if you are also not happy with what the verdict is at that point, you now move to the Supreme Court. But you see, the whole purpose of giving that opportunity of 3-layer review of the judgment is to make sure that there is a thorough examination of the facts vis-a-vis the law. So if at the tribunal level there is a miscarriage of facts vis-a-vis the law, and the tribunal and the appeal court spots that, the appeal court is allowed to disagree and reverse the judgment of the lower court. And if parties at that point in time are not satisfied with what has been delivered as judgment, they have the opportunity to go to the apex court. Now, it now depends on how they have seen the facts. So for the case of Plateau State, it's a matter of what facts were presented, how those facts were evaluated, and at the point of evaluation, putting it side by side with the law. And the beauty of our Supreme Court, and I will say it again and again, we must give credit to them for taking their time to examine the issues and to deliver judgment according to the facts and the law that is presented, that is in operation. None of the justices of the Supreme Court is on the field to see anything that has happened. It's a matter of the facts that have been presented to them, and it's on the basis of those facts that the decision would have been taken. There may be similarities. Because I see you doing a comparison between the judgment for the governor and the judgment for the members of the legislature that have also been delivered. But there will be a distinction between the judgment that favors A and the judgment that does not favor the other party. The facts may be similar to some extent, but it will not be that they are 100% on the same force.
Okay.
It will not be. There must be some facts that have made one to be different from the other, and it is those fine facts that the law is looking for to make sure that justice is done. Those are the things that the law will look out for. Those are the things that that the Supreme Court will look out for. And being the Supreme Court, it's not as if they are infallible. They are not infallible. But at least within the confines of the law and the facts, they remain the last leg of the judicial race. Whatever they say, that remains the final. If for any reason there is an error, too bad. The law also allowed them to reverse themselves, but they are such reversal is not a commonplace.
Right.
It's not a commonplace.
Barrister Fadipe, we're talking about justice here, and you just talked about justice and not judgment. In the interest of justice, there are people today in Plateau State and in some other cases that feel robbed. That on election, they chose their senators, they chose their House of Representatives members, but the appeal court erred based on what we've heard from the Supreme Court today, that these are all pre-election matters that ended up saving Governor Mutfwang's mandate in Plateau State. But also, let's just talk about the ruling and how that may look like an indictment on the performance of the appeal court in some of those cases. Where do you stand when people say we need to review, especially in cases where the Supreme Court has delivered a verdict that seems to indict what has happened in some other cases, especially with regards to the elections of 2023?
In any case, a reversal of the judgment of a lower court is almost an indictment. Whichever way we want to look at it, if a lower court, let's say for instance, the Court of Appeal delivers a judgment, and then one of the parties to the suit is aggrieved, and it goes to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court reverses the position of the lower court, it's almost an indictment. As a matter of fact, when you pick a judgment of the Supreme Court and you juxtapose it with the Court of Appeal, in some instances, you will see the justices of the Supreme Court say, I disagree with the position of the appeal court. I disagree. So, and that in itself is a quiet indictment, as it were. But it should not be seen as an indictment. Rather, it's an attempt to draw attention to what
Okay. Unfortunately, we're going to have to leave it there. We're having some challenges with the connection to our guest, Barrister Fadipe, who is providing us with insight into some of these developments, especially in the aftermath of the verdicts by the Supreme Court affirming all of the incumbent governors whose election victories were being challenged across those 8 states. It was victory for NNPP, PDP, and APC all round. Well, let's move to some of the day's other news stories. President Bola Tinubu has suspended all administered social investment programs by the National Social Investment Program Agency. Announcing the suspension in a statement on Friday, the Director of Information Secretary at the Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Segun Imohiosen, said the President's decision was in view of the ongoing investigation of alleged malfeasance in the management of the agency and its programs. All 4 programs administered by the agency, viz. NPower program, the Conditional Cash Transfer program, the Government Enterprise and Empowerment program, and the Homegrown School Feeding program, have been suspended for a period of 6 weeks. The statement added that the president has also raised significant concerns regarding operational lapses and improprieties surrounding payments of the program's beneficiaries. According to the statement, the president also constituted a ministerial panel to conduct a thorough review of the agency's operations to recommend necessary reforms of the agency. Now, during the period of this suspension, all NSIPA-related activities, including but not limited to all distributions, events, payments, collaborations, and registrations, are now frozen. Also, the president has approved over 683 billion naira as the 2024 intervention fund for public tertiary institutions in the country. Now, the executive secretary of the Tertiary Education Trust Fund, Soni Echono, made this disclosure on Friday at the fund's strategic planning meeting with heads of beneficiary institutions in Abuja. According to him, from the total, 90.75% is earmarked for direct disbursement, 8.94% for some designated special projects, and 2.27% is budgeted for response to emerging issues. He also disclosed that each university shall get for the 2024 intervention circle the total sum of 1.9 billion naira and polytechnics 1.17 billion naira each, and 1.4 billion naira for colleges of education in the country.
And the gracious concurrence of Mr. President for an increase in the tax from 2.5 to 3% in the year 2023. You will recall that before the end of the last administration, this approval was granted, but early in the life of the new administration, there was a review of the enabling law, but this particular provision survived, and Mr. President gave his concurrence that an increase in allocation should be sustained. So we are grateful to all the key actors, notably the Minister of Education, Professor Tahir Maman, ONSAN, the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, the Chairman and members of the Senate and House Committees on Third Fund, and the Chairman of the Federal Inland Revenue Service for their unwavering support towards the sustainable improvement of the collection.
You're watching the News Hour on Trust TV. Still to come. Analysts forecast persistent naira scarcity due to ineffective monetary policies. More on this and many other stories up ahead after the break.
Wherever you are in the world, it's the moment you've all been waiting for.
It's there for the taking. It's in the back of the net.
AFCON 2023. Watch all 52 matches live on Star Times.
Welcome back to the news, and thank you very much for staying with us. Let's take another look at some of the top stories. Jubilation across NNPP, APC and PDP as incumbent governors survive Supreme Court ruling. Jubilation across party lines as Supreme Court upholds victories of incumbent governors. And President Tinubu suspends school feeding program and all other NSIPA programs as investigations into Humanitarian Affairs Ministry continues. Now, the Nasarawa state government has vowed to secure the safe return of an abducted newborn baby from El Hatu Araf Specialist Hospital in Lafia. The Deputy Governor of the state, Emmanuel Akabe, during a visit to the baby's mother, expressed the government's commitment to resolving the incident. Abubakar Abdullahi sent in this report as presented from our studio.
2 days ago, a newborn was stolen at Al Hatta Araf Specialist Hospital, Lafia, shortly after a successful cesarean section. Deputy Governor Dr. Emmanuel Akabe visited the hospital to sympathize with the mother and disclosed that security agencies are actively investigating the disappearance of the baby.
But like I mentioned earlier, I've been adequately briefed and the security agencies are doing their work. I hear the police have come in, DSS and all of them are involved in unraveling things. And by the grace of God, a few arrests have been made here and there, a few detentions here and there, a few questioning here and there. I hope that at the end of the day, from questioning and responses, we're able to get to the root of it and get our baby back.
The Deputy Governor also assured that the hospital had implemented security measures and handed over the baby to the family before the incident occurred. He urged the public to report any suspicious activities to the appropriate authorities for prompt action. In connection to the incident, the state police has arrested 3 individuals with several others currently under questioning.
Now, the Progressive Governors Forum has hailed President Bola Tinubu's efforts at tackling insecurity in Nigeria. During a visit to the president on Friday, the Progressive Governors Forum, which is the umbrella body for governors elected on the platform of the APC, commended the president for facing insecurity headlong. The chairman of the Progressive Governors Forum and Imo State Governor Hope Uzodinma says the efforts of the president in fighting insecurity will soon become, or rather, will make insecurity become a thing of the past. According to him, the president will also do more interventions to alleviate the current economic situation in the country.
We are here basically to salute the president and welcome him into the new year and congratulate him for all the exploits he has recorded since he became the president of the country, and also to renew our hope in his renewed hope agenda and exchange the pleasantries, and also, among other things, thank him for the way he has supported the governors.
In other news, the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, has expressed dissatisfaction with the progress of work at Abuja Metro Rail. Wike said this during a visit to the project site in the FCT. Habibat Ajayi has more.
Wike, who inspected the station 4 months ago and issued an 8-month completion ultimatum, expressed disappointment at the lack of improvement during his recent train journey from Abuja Metro Way to Kubwaba 1 and 2.
I cannot be happy if in May this year we are not able to operate this metro line. It will be very disastrous for me. And then, even all the stations, from what I've seen, designs are very poor. Who may have approved this design is not fair to Nigerians. I've told CC that this kind of design is not even acceptable in their own country. And if I had known before now, I would not have promised Mr. President that we'll be ready. But be it as it be, we'll still have to work around the clock to see that we achieve our results. And I also directed that every of the stations must be cleaned. All the things that are there must be provided.
The FCT minister highlighted the absence of work advancements and addressed concerns with material vandalism by the Chinese contractor, which he pledged to investigate.
I discovered that there are issues of security lapses. And I remember when I came for the first time after our inauguration, I did say that they have to work on the issue of security by putting on the fence around the metro station in order to ward off criminals. Unfortunately, that has not been done. To my surprise, it was discovered that the contract was not even awarded to CCECC. It's a different contract awarded by the FCT. And this is my first time of hearing that. And we're going to take it up immediately to see that that is put in place.
Despite weaker scrutiny, it appears that the project may not be ready for the President's commissioning on May 29 as earlier envisaged. Habibat Ajayi, Trust TV News, Abuja.
And residents of Jalingo, the Taraba state capital, are expressing satisfaction with the availability of water across the metropolis. To guarantee sustainability, the residents are advocating proper maintenance culture while calling on youths in the vicinity to shun vandalism of public water infrastructure in the state. Here's the report.
Taraba State is one of the states that is surrounded by rivers and dams. Despite the seeming advantage, water supply in the state capital has over the years been a challenge. However, residents of Jalingo are saying the situation is gradually changing for good as supply has become almost consistent. Some residents who told Trust TV that supply has become as frequent as 4 times in a week appealed to users to ensure efficient management to avoid incurring extra charges associated with wasting water.
It's for our own benefit. So I can't see the reason why some people will be vandalizing the pipeline actually, unless maybe people want to fetch the water illegally.
I appreciated the government entirely in part of water and educational processing, and what we are crying on it is only security in our area. But water and fire and electrification supply, we don't have that problem much.
My name is Sani Seidu. Apart from this tap that is for outsiders, we also have another one inside for others. We are grateful to the state government for addressing the water supply needs of the people. I'm calling on the people, especially those that have no meter in their houses, to take advantage of the opportunity to use as much as they can, while those with meters should avoid wastage in order not to incur huge costs.
Following the regular supply of water, the state government is appealing for prompt payment of bills to ensure that the supply is sustained.
There's one challenge that we have. The other one is the issue of water theft. Some people, for reasons best known to them, they try to steal our water. That is illegally, they do illegal connections and then try to tap water from our service lines without following the proper channels. We call them water theft. Some people will break the pipe deliberately so that water can gush out and they can fetch from it. You know, and then other challenges are the lack of payment even for the service that we give to the people. Sometimes people find it difficult to pay us for the service we render to them. These are challenges that we have.
The Tawasco DG said government is putting modalities in place to ensure that supply gets to all parts of the state.
Now, the naira scarcity in parts of Nigeria is set to continue if policy changes are not being implemented by the Central Bank of Nigeria. This is according to a financial expert, saying that it is largely responsible for the shortages in circulation as Nigerians groan over the impact of the scarcity on their livelihood. Chamunda Beng's report is presented by Abdurrahman Umar.
The idea that a country's legal tender could become a scarce commodity seems quite far-fetched. However, this was and is still the reality for Nigeria. The Naira redesign policy has since been reversed, with both the old and new versions of Nigeria's major denominations now coexisting as legal tender. The Central Bank of Nigeria has also suspended charges for cash withdrawals above regulatory limits. But despite these moves by the CBN, the cash crunch has still continued, further inconveniencing Nigerians who have been asking why.
It's not people buying FX. How many people are buying FX? They are less than 2% of Nigerians. We should be thinking about 90-95% of Nigerians that are in rural villages and even in some urban centers. Their interest cannot be more than the interest of generality of Nigerians. the interest of generality of Nigeria is what we should look at. And the only people that can address that issue is central bank and other these things by their supervisory role.
In spite of moves by the Central Bank of Nigeria to put an end to naira scarcity, Hussaini insists that more needs to be done, especially as they hold a supervisory and regulatory positions. He further stated that the CBN must do something to control the activities of POS operatives, as well as regulate the amount of naira being used to purchase foreign currency. This, according to him, can be done through banking operations. Notwithstanding, government seems to be ineffective in terms of addressing the country's FX dependence and jobs provided by POS businesses.
You remember the people using naira to purchase FX, and then they are ready to use naira at any length to buy FX, and that is one of the possessive factors why the scarcity of naira will always continue. Then the second major problem, which we are not addressing, is these people, this POS business. People like to take their naira to POS and not to the bank because of the interest they are likely going to earn, and therefore that issue will continue to persist. Because it was so strange that you can go to POS, collect as much as you want, but you cannot go to the bank. You can see the contradiction there.
As the naira scarcity persists, Nigerians are calling on the government to act fast in order to put a permanent end to the problem.
All right, let's join Yusuf Akogo now to bring you up to speed with the latest in business.
Welcome to Business News. I am Yusuf Akogo. Foreign trade through Lagos port grew year-on-year by 9.3% to 37.93 trillion in the first 9 months of 2023, from 34.69 trillion in 2022. This development is coming amidst call by the federal government to decongest Lagos port by opening other ports in the country. Analysis of the data from the National Bureau of Statistics (NBS) foreign trade in goods statistics shows that the value of export through Lagos port grew by 19% to 23.08 trillion from 19.39 trillion. Similarly, the value of import through the port grew year-on-year by 39% to 16.22 trillion in 9 months of 2023 from 11.65 trillion in 2022. During this period, the Tinkan Island port had the highest growth of 56% in the value of trade of 3.06 trillion, followed by Apapa port with a 20% growth in the value of transactions to 34.94 trillion naira. Port Harcourt on airport has a 15.8% growth in trade value to 1.97 trillion naira. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has applauded a proposed investment of $10 billion in the steel development sector in Nigeria. Special advisor to the President of Media and Publicity, Ajuri Ngilali, in a statement said the President disclosed this when he received briefing from Shaibu Awudu, Minister of Steel Development, and Abubakar Badaru, the Minister of Defense, at the Presidential Villa on Thursday. The President emphasized that a revitalized steel development industry is both a catalyst for robust economic growth and a doorway to immense opportunity for Nigeria's massive pool of talent entrepreneurs. According to the President, the new investment in steel production will spur the growth of so many sectors. The Minister of Steel, Shaibu Awudu, say several financial institutions have provided offer letters for these transactions, and the project is expected to create up to 5,000 direct and indirect jobs for Nigerians. Professor of Capital Market Uche Waleke said the Nigerian Exchange Group should designate banking stock as systematically important stocks. Waleke, who is a director of the Institute of Capital Market at the Nasarawa State University, KEFI, stressed that this became necessary to make the stock market more resilient, curb the current speculative frenzy, and dampen the extraordinary volatility swings on the share prices of banking stocks in particular. He called on NGX to proceed to narrow their daily price limit from 10% to 5% in the meantime, while price limit for other regular stock is left at 10%. Waleke stated that this is the practice in markets like China, which also applied differentiated price limits as a market stabilization mechanism. Now to the exchange rate markets. Naira strengthened further at the NAFEM window on Friday. Here are the numbers. The stock market, of course, the equities market again continue positive momentum in 2023. What some people call, of course, a glorious, performance. We'll say in the market. The dominance of the bulls continue, of course, and the Nigerian market indeed has continued to dominate, not just on the shores of Nigeria or even in Africa alone, but is rated as the second performing stock behind Argentina in the year 2024. Let's look at the numbers for today. Of course, the bulls, as we said, of course, taking the lead there. If you look at the top trading equities, we have the like of Transcorp, Access Corporation, of course, Universal Insurance, all doing greatly there. Of course, their performance has pushed the index up by 0.54%. Indeed, a very wonderful day, you will say. 600 million volume of trade there, over 600 million volume of trade there, value at 9.097 billion in a days of 14,000, of course, 919 actually exchange hands today among investors. If you look at the top performing equities in terms of the gainers, we have the like of Suno Assurance gaining 10%, Moshua Benefit also recording 10% gain, and of course the Keja Hotel 9.96%, of course it recorded in terms of gain. But if, of course, when you have losers, there are also, when you have gainers, they are usually also losers. We have the IIMG down 9.15%, UPDC also in the negative territory 7.26%, and of course Cortex also down 5.00%. These are the highlights of stock market in Nigeria today. Let's look at the market in other planets. And finally, business, look at the crude oil prices at a leap 4% on Friday as oil tankers diverted course from the Red Sea following overnight air and sea strike by the United States and, of course, Britain on Houthi target in Yemen after attacks on shipping by the Iran-backed group. At the London market, the Brent crude sells for $80 per barrel. For the OPEC basket, price drops by 0.12%. And that's business. I am Yusuf Akogu.
Many thanks to Yusuf Akogu. Still staying with developments on planet Earth, Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan on Friday says U.S. and British strikes on Yemen's Houthis were disproportionate, alleging that the U.S. and Britain wanted to turn the Red Sea into a bloodbath. The U.S. and British strikes came in response to Houthi attacks on what they deemed to be Israeli-linked ships traveling in the Red Sea. President Erdogan said his government had received news from various channels that the Houthis were conducting successful defense and gave successful answers both to the U.S. and Britain. Time now for some sports. Emmanuel Fashemi is standing by.
Nigeria's rising sprint star Favour Ashe is off to a brilliant start to the 2024 indoor season. The Auburn junior clocked a time of 6.53 seconds to win his first race of the year over 60 meters at the Harvey Glance Tide and Tigers dual meeting in Birmingham, Alabama. Ashe defeated Jacovan Rahita, who came in second with 6.66 seconds, while Makanache Charamba settled for third in 6.72 seconds. Ashe's 6.53 seconds makes for his fastest opener since he debuted indoors back in 2022. Meanwhile, world champion Wallace is set to kickstart his 2024 season at the New Balance Indoor Grand Prix, facing a familiar rival Fred Kelly in 60-meter event on February 4th. Lies, the defending champion who will aim to begin the season on a positive note by claiming another famous win against debutant Kelly, just as he did against compatriot Trevon Brummel last season, clocking a personal best of 6.51 seconds. His victory over Brummel kicked off a historic season for him, which saw him clinch the 100-meter and 200-meter world titles at the World Championships in Budapest, in addition to anchoring Team USA to the 4x100-meter gold medal. Lions will be gunning to replicate the same form this season by gunning for a quadruple of gold medals at the Paris Olympic Games, but first he has to start the season right in Boston. Later in the year, when the outdoor season commences, Favour Fili and Udodo Onwuzurike will be joining regular Diamond League participants, 100-meter hurdles world record holder Tobi Amusan and perennial medalist in the women's long jump Ese Brume. AFC Bournemouth forward Dominic Solanke has capped a superb form for December with the Premier League Player of the Month award. The Anglo-Nigerian star becomes the first ever cherished player to clinch the prestigious Premier League gong. The Premier League organizers announced on Friday that the 26-year-old emerged as the best player in the league in December of 2023. Solanke's success was also the first in his career after scoring a league-high 6 goals in December. His goals saw him move to within just 2 goals of Manchester City Erling Haaland and Liverpool legend Mohamed Salah in the race for Premier League top scorer. Bournemouth took to social media to celebrate their striker for his historic award. Solanke saw off competition from 7 others en route to his win to register his name in the club's history books. And that is it on sports. I am Emmanuel Fashimi.